Okay, so this morning I get a video about someone trying to basically prove the reality of the Earth being flat. So I'm not going to make any insults against this person. I'm just going to ask a series of questions, even though there are terms used in the video calling people cowards and so many other different things because of the fact that we don't want to entertain what they're basically trying to prove on the idea of the Earth being flat. So, on the left-hand side is a 3D rendering, basically similar to the models that you'll see out there on the internet. Now, one model will show the sun and the moon inside the dome, and another model will show the sun and the moon outside of the dome. And basically, so there's my first problem. Okay, so if the Earth is flat inside the dome, let's ignore the dome for now. You have a flat Earth, spherical sun, and moon. Odd. If the Earth is flat, why isn't the sun and the moon flat? I mean, honestly, I think this is a good question that we have to answer because of the fact that if the Earth cannot be spherical, why is it that the sun and the moon are spherical in their models? I mean, this is probably one of the glaring ones. And then, okay, let's go back to the dome again because the dome is signifying a part of a spherical shape that's covering the flat image or the flat Earth. So how is it that 3D objects can basically cover a 2D object and basically remove the idea that what was 2D cannot be 3D? I have a problem with this. I have a concern on this because of the fact that in your models that you're using, you're basically contradicting. It's just on an appearance level. Also, the Earth and the sun continue on both models, whether they're inside the dome or outside the dome, continue to circle or go in a pattern that's basically maintaining itself around this flat Earth object. So, of course, we could say that gravity is basically what's keeping the sun and the moon to be in orbit around the Earth. But even when you look at the models of the Earth, of the sun and the moon circling or moving around about the Earth, they're always in a spherical pattern that basically is not consistent with the model. It contradicts itself. And I'm really struggling here because, as I sit here and I look at these models, the first thing that comes to me is that when I look at this, not to be humorous or anything like that, but I see this dome and it makes me think of the dome from the Hunger Games, that everybody's trapped inside. It makes me think of that TV series, The Dome, where you had a whole village, you had a whole city that was basically covered inside of a dome, and the Earth was threatened by what was going on. Is it possible that that dome movie or TV show was somehow alluding to the flat Earth theory? I don't know. I really didn't watch it. And then you also have the idea of the Hunger Games and the dome that the people are inside of. And so that means that there's this greater entity, this greater force that's on the outside, because someone has to create the dome. Someone has to create the Earth. Someone has to create this planet for us to be on. And the idea of them orchestrating it, that everything falls into place. And so then you go with, here's the other option, because I'm a big Matrix fan. Is this something that the Wachowski brothers were basically trying to prove with the Matrix, the red or the blue pill, that you come out of the Matrix and you see exactly what's going on? So again, there's this architect that basically controls and creates an environment that looks exactly like this. So what is it? The Matrix, Hunger Games, the dome? What exactly is the model? Because I know I've heard in the video that this now questions evolution. It questions the idea of a spiritual creator. But again, now making this position that this is how it's transpired, I'm kind of concerned because of the fact that, again, there's no consistency. There was a statement said that this brings up new questions. This brings up millions and millions of more questions, and mine are just a few. But then, as we sit here and we look at this model, I'm really concerned that it doesn't hold its weight to basically say that this is exactly what we're seeing. And why are the planets? Why are before even talking about other planets, what about the idea that, okay, if this is your model, why don't we see more examples of this on Earth? I mean, why don't we see more examples? Because I'm trying to figure out what's holding the sun and the moon to basically stay in its orbit. You can say gravity, but again, there's no center if you're not basically following this pre-programmed model that you see in the movies. But why don't we see examples on Earth? Why don't we see examples on Earth where, if this is the model, there should be other examples on Earth of things circulating and rotating and orbiting objects on Earth independently, free, not using a propulsion system, but large bodies and objects that are basically rotating or orbiting things on Earth, and we don't see any examples of that. Something that was not man-made. So whether you want to talk about aliens, I don't know what excuse you can use on this, but I'm really struggling to find how there's any merit to this position here. I could be wrong, but it's just not adding up. So let's look at the Bible and not read it incorrectly, because the Bible does not in any way oppose an argument for a flat earth. So please stop insulting people because of the fact that they do not embrace this model. There's a sovereign creator that made this earth, made the moon, made the stars, made everything. The very objects that you take for granted in here in your model to say that the earth is flat. And your object model here creates chaos because there should be more planets exactly like this, and we don't see it. There should be more examples. The earth and the sun should follow the same exact model if that's the case. But you cannot create a model of the earth being flat while using spherical objects to circle it and to orbit it and maintain what has been happening for thousands of years. I could be wrong, but the model is flawed. That's just my opinion. Take care.